see what's in front of me. Now, now, now. There has to be a better way. Sing it again, a better way to show I'm great. So I thought of this song to show my appreciation for loving me so long. You don't know how much you mean to me. 'Cause even though times got rough, you never turned away. You were right there. And I thank you, thank you. When I felt I had enough, you never turned away. You were right there. And I thank you, thank you.
You may start, Catherine.
Good afternoon and welcome to BC Talks Give Thanks with a Grateful Heart. My name is Catherine Mannering and I am super excited to be your MC for today. For some quick background about me, I am a full-time student currently enrolled at Broward College for Communications and Film. We have an amazing lineup today, and as we begin our program, I would like to recognize a few lovely individuals responsible for supporting and coordinating this event today. BC Talks Give Thanks with a Grateful Heart is a production of the AHCD Pathway campaigns, Come Back Connected, Collected, Committed, and Fierce. This webinar will focus on the theme of collected. Now, if we have any Pathway and Department Deans currently in the audience, please feel free to start your video and wave. And let's give a quick round of applause to the Associate Department and Pathways Deans. Now, this event was also coordinated by BC Talks Committee. If they could the committee members please start your video and give us a little wave? Aren't they beautiful, folks? Now, let's give a hand to the members of the BC Talks Committee for bringing this all together. Today, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, we have invited 4 professional speakers to give a tribute speech to recognize and thank individuals who have helped them overcome obstacles. Following our guest tribute speeches, we welcome you, the audience, to ask these professionals any questions about public speaking, their careers, or any other relevant topics. The second part of this event will be an open mic in which you guys are encouraged to give your own tribute speeches. Now, during the open mic, if you are interested in participating, you can indicate your interest by typing in the chat, interested in open mic, with your full name. Remember guys, first come, first serve. There'll be a dedicated BC Talks committee member recording and providing the names of interested speakers to me. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be designated as a panelist, in which you will be able to unmute mic and show video to give your tribute speech. We will allow speakers to give their tribute speeches until we reach the end time of the event. Therefore, please keep in mind if there are too many speakers, you may not be able to speak due to the lack of time. And now, are you guys ready? It is time to begin our speaker showcase. Let's start with our first guest speaker. Our first guest speaker is Ms. Shawnee Curry, who is a personal finance advisor who has been featured as a guest personal finance expert on CBS Miami 4 and Hot 105. Ms. Shawnee is a contributing writer to Black Enterprise, the owner of 3 debt-free real estate properties, the mother of 2 sons, and published author of 10 Things Every Woman Should Keep in Her Purse. Let's give a warm welcome to Shawnee.
Hello, hi everyone. think my hair's moving around. Okay. Hey, hi everyone. I'm Shawnee. That was a really good introduction that you shared about me. Thank you very much. In lieu of Thanksgiving, I may tear up a little bit because when I called Rosina a little bit earlier just to confirm what my contributions would be here today, I started to really think about it even more. I know about the initial, but when I really start to be able to pay homage to someone that has brought my life so much definition, so much compassion, so much love, is my grandmother. So I was asked to talk about how I've gotten through a difficult time and pay homage and gratitude and thankfulness to someone who helped me navigate through a difficult scenario. And because this particular space that we're occupying today is full of students and educators, I'm sure if you think about your entire life, it may be a little difficult, at least for me, to single out one difficult moment. In lieu of these last 2 years, I think that as a collective, a human race, we've all had like a great deal of like difficult times. I think the last 2 years has to be biblical, like this, like totally, these 2 years should just be in the Bible, like add and give us some extra pages and just add these last 2 years, because there has just been a series of that amount of emotional demand, health demands, and so it's a little difficult for me to single out. I actually have normalized difficulty within my life, not under just the auspices of the last 2 years, but just like maturing. I am a native to Miami, Florida. I grew up, I attended Miami Central Senior High. And when I think about my life and I move through it, it has always had its space of difficulty. There's always been something to catapult me into my next level. I believe that chaos plays a very big role in creativity. So I would say normalize difficulties, normalize it. Don't let difficulty scare you. Don't allow difficulty to intimidate you, and don't allow difficulty to cause you to give up on yourself. Normalize difficulty, normalize going from one level of yourself to another, whether if the next level you're going to is financial, which I talk about on a regular basis, or if the next level of yourself is your next semester or your space in career. So when I think about difficulty, it's been normalized. It's really too many difficulties for me to single out. But when I can think of a person who has been able to assist me in moving through a series of difficult moments, it would be my grandmother. The reason why it kind of chokes me up a little bit is because my grandmother passed away 4 years ago. And my grandmother passed away 4 years ago, and if any person that has played such a huge role in grounding me and making sure that I can normalize difficulty in my life, it would be my grandmother. Some of the tools that she gave me so that I can navigate a series of difficult moments was definitely what she gave to me in terms of confidence. She gave me a lot of inner confidence in the way how she treated me. I felt like even though she was married to my grandfather for 60 years, I felt like I was one of my grandmother's soulmates. I felt like I was even though she was married to my grandfather for over 60 years, I felt like I was one of the loves of her life, and that love has carried me through a series of difficult moments. I'm also a mother. I have a 9 and 11-year-old, and because she passed down so much love to me, I'm able to transfer that over to my children. And the way that translates is over into them having confidence. When you feel loved, it makes you more confident. So for those of you that may may be taking notes, the first thing that I've already shared with you is to normalize difficulty. Don't let it scare you. Don't let it move you into another direction. If you are receiving love from anyone, any particular person, whether it's a parent, whether it's a friend, whomever it may be, allow that love to heal you. Allow it to increase your worthiness, because that's essentially what confidence is. My grandmother used to always say to me, you know, confidence isn't really built in your head, right? That's motivation, you know, a series of books, memes on, you know, social media. These are the things that give you motivation. If you go to church, if you study, or you listen to any podcast, that's motivation. It's not going to build your confidence. What's going to build your confidence is your head, right? Your hands, right? And so what you get here, that's just motivation. That's like putting a little bit of gas in the car. But confidence is built when you're in movement, right? When you are in movement. And that is one of the pearls that my grandmother passed me on. So oftentimes when I have to do something, I'm not full of a bunch of confidence, right? Because I wasn't taught that way. My mind wasn't set up to have like this huge, insurmountable amount of confidence in order to take on a task. Often if you're waiting to feel, I mean, think about it. If someone said, hey, you know, go in this room and do surgery, I'm probably not going to have any confidence on operating on anyone. However, if I apply myself, if I learn, if I study, my confidence is going to come in my hands. So those are a few of the things that my grandmother was able to transfer over to me to make sure that I was able to normalize difficult times. I don't look for difficulty. I just know that chaos often precedes creativity, right? Usually I have to get rid of something, I have to release something in order to get a better replacement, so it doesn't scare me. Also, I know for sure that confidence is not really built in my head. I'm oftentimes not going to feel confident about something that I've never done before, right? I've never done it. Why should I be puffed up with all this confidence, right? What I should do is get in the game, do the work, and one of the byproducts of getting in the game and doing the work is now I'm confident. So thank you so much for this opportunity to really lean into some of the messages that has carried me through a series of difficult moments, from college to being on the news, to raising my children, to just navigating the professional world. So thank you. And I'm sure, unless I don't see you guys on social media, my social media handle is Purse Empowerment. But if I don't see you on social media, then I'm going to say to you, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
That was very touching, Shannon. It's so helpful. I agree. We do really need to normalize difficulty in our lives. I love the speech that you gave. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And now our next speaker is going to be Ellie Vasquez. Ellie Vasquez is a Mexican Puerto Rican writer, director, entrepreneur, and digital storyteller from Chicago. Ellie is the producer of BuzzFeed's Latinx digital brand Pero Like, the founder and CEO of the production company Hype Media House and coaching program Self Hype. Ellie is a filmmaker featured in festivals such as Official Latino and Arts Festival and Hola Mexico Film Festival, and the generator of over 500 million views online by working with top digital companies worldwide. Let's welcome to the virtual stage, Ellie.
Hello, everyone. I feel so blessed to be in this space, and especially during this time in our lives. I mean, we're getting to the holidays, we're being thankful, and we're going through so many crazy situations. Like, we have to remind ourselves, this is like, some would say, the worst time in modern history with the pandemic and everything that's going on. So to be able to share what's on my mind and what's on my heart, and it's particularly with this topic of who is a person that to be thankful for, it really means a lot. And the big thing that I want to say and give, and I think that, and the big thing I want to bring up is, yes, my brand is self-hype. My brand is normalizing and looking in the mirror and saying how powerful you are, without restraint, without judgment, without any of those things. I feel like a lot of people could say you're cocky if you do such a thing, or you're arrogant. Yet how are we supposed to empower ourselves to get through what we're going through, especially today in history? So when I say the person I want to be thankful for is me, it's not going to be me talking about how cool I am, but what I want everyone to walk away with is how to empower themselves, how to look at their own stories, how when you're at the dinner table with your family, you could take a moment and reflect on everything that you accomplished and to empower yourself for the new year. So when I say me, when I'm talking about my story, when I'm talking about me, I'm really talking about you. I'm talking about us. So we could all individually look at ourselves. So, because the big thing is, we have family that supports us. We have friends that supports us. We have all those things. It's beautiful. It's impactful. I could talk about so many people in my life, but there's one person that knows my story more than anyone else. There's only one person that knows what I've gone through, the hurdles, the trauma, the emotional upheaval, the adversity that I had to go through, the heartbreak, the loss. I'm the only one that knows that, and I'm here standing to this day talking to you. We all have those stories. While I'm speaking, take a moment to just kind of reflect and think about a moment in your life that was really difficult, that was really hard, that I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. I don't know how my life looks in order for me to get through this event. I don't know how I'm going to get through it, yet you did. Because you're literally listening to my voice right now. So my big thing is, you have to normalize tributing yourself, normalize loving yourself, normalize thanking yourself for going through everything that you've gone through in your life to be here right now. I think about my life. I think about, my growing up in a really rough neighborhood, being the oldest of 10, with my mom being a teenager when she had me, living on different couches, moving from basement to basement, family member to family member, dodging bullets, getting jumped by gang members, and to be able to be here right now and to talk to all of you. That is what I remember. I own my narrative to push myself forward. So the next time I hear that little imposter syndrome in the back of my mind, I have a laundry list of things to counteract that little voice in my mind. That's the thing. I want everyone to think about those moments. We think about work resume, that our value is only attached to the resume of work. I'm talking about life resume. I'm talking about the things that we've gone through in our lives that is factual evidence of how capable we are. It's factual evidence of how fantastic we are, factual evidence of how we can accomplish so much. It's when that little thing in the back of your head is telling you can't because out of fear, with no actual factual evidence, is just trying to keep you safe. You have factual evidence, this life resume, to motivate you and to push you to keep going, to keep pushing. And the beauty of this life resume is everyone's life resume is individual to their own. I've gone through experiences that you've never gone through. You all have gone through experiences that I never gone through. And that's what makes it so unique and beautiful. I'm not trying to, steal Snoop Dogg's flair at all. I know he said it. He's like, I like to thank me. I like to thank me. I like to thank me. And a lot of people laughed because it's not normal. We don't normalize looking in the mirror like, I thank you. I love you. No one can do it like me. That's the thing that we need to normalize in our society. And think about it. You've gone through the worst time in modern history. Yet you're here right now listening to my voice. Who says 2022 can't be unstoppable? Who says 2022 can't be anything that I want it to be? Because guess what? I made it through the last 2 years. And guess what? I made it through the last 30. So look at your own narrative, look at your own stories, and own that narrative. Rather than seeing what I've gone through that made me feel a little insecure, which at one point that did. I was making viral hits. I was doing all those things. I was at the worst mental state of my life because I felt stuck. I felt like I couldn't be any better than the employer that I was with. I felt I was always going to be a disappointment in some way or the other. And I had to do the work to look in the mirror and look at myself and look at everything that you've gone through. And you don't think you can do better than this? You are bigger than any space that you're in. So at some point today, if you're doing it right now, amazing. But at some point today, if you could just sit with yourself, reflect and celebrate yourself, and just write it down, write down everything that you've accomplished this year, this week, and all that. Keep that. Remind yourself of that. Normalize that and put that into your day-to-day. And I promise you, you're going to feel more empowered. And the next time you have that little voice in the back of your head saying you can't, you have a full booklet, pages of saying that you can. So thank you all so much. Again, I'm out here in these digital streets, y'all. You know, I'm simple at It's Eli Vasquez. You know, tons of things that you could dive in. We have newsletters and all that. Always trying to grow the community. But thank you so much for the time. Thank you so much for taking up the space. I hope you got something out of this and have the best holiday season that you possibly can. Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you so much, Ellie. I especially love the part where you said, no one can do it like me. I love that. We do need to own our narratives. You were so right about that. I feel like we as a society love to compare and criticize ourselves, but we never really take that moment to really love ourselves and hype ourselves up. We do it to everybody else, but not taking a moment, just 1 second out of our time to do it for ourselves. Thank you for sharing. That was incredible. Now, as we move on to our next performer, we have Jefferson Noel. Jefferson Noel is a Haitian American speech professor at Florida Memorial University. He is an FIU graduate with both a bachelor's and master's degree in communication, the founder of Barbershop Speaks, which is a platform to engage in powerful discussions inside local barbershops and beauty salons to empower the community, and the published author of Powerful Presenting: How to Overcome One of the Nation's Greatest Fears and Go, How to Cross the Starting Line. Let's welcome in Jefferson.
Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jefferson Noel, and I am deeply honored and humbled to be selected to speak with you all this lovely afternoon. I was about to say evening, because it's been getting dark faster. And I think the subject is very near and dear to my heart of gratitude and thankfulness and paying tribute. And so, especially to someone that helped you overcome challenges, someone who helped you overcome challenges. And so I recognize that in life, many people face a plethora of challenges. Those challenges might be their health. Those challenges might be where they came from, where they grew up. Those challenges might be the people around them, even their own family members, right? And I must say, I'm not immune to those challenges. And sometimes I face a lot of those challenges as well. However, I'm hyper aware that there are many people who suffered those challenges and much worse than me. And it's not lost on me that there's people that go hungry every single day because they have nothing to eat. There's people who family members never said a positive word to them. There are people who are facing challenges on a daily basis that I can't even imagine. And so because I'm hyper aware of those things, I realize that those challenges are child's play compared to others. But then I realized that the biggest challenges that I face, my biggest personal challenge, is not external, but my biggest personal challenge is internal. My biggest personal challenge is my doubts. My biggest personal challenges are my fear, the fears that I have, the doubts that I have about myself, negative thoughts. Those are my biggest personal challenges. And I'm grateful for someone named Larry Florentin. He's my uncle. He came to the United States, Larry did, in 1993, and I was born in 1994. And then when Larry came to the States, obviously he had no money. He had no resources. The only people that he had were his family. And I'm too young to remember this, but Larry, he used to sleep on the floor in my house because we didn't have any rooms. And Larry was someone who was dedicated. he was focused. You know, although he didn't have much, he made do with what he had. You know, he went to Miami-Dade College. He learned English at Miami-Dade College. He graduated from Miami-Dade College with the highest honors. After he graduated from Miami-Dade College, he went to Florida International University, also known as FIU, also known as the finest institution in the universe. And he went to FIU and he was a part of the Honors College, and he graduated from the Honors College, summa cum laude. And this is a man who just learned English. This was a man who barely had anything. He had all of the challenges in the world that anybody could possibly imagine. And he did those things. After FIU, he went to the University of Florida School of Law. And he graduated from the Levine School College of Law from UF. After that, he moved back to Miami and he started his own law practice. See, he could have easily, because he's a very intelligent man, he could have easily worked for someone else and worked in someone else's law firm, but he started his own law practice. And this, I remember, he had a tiny office in North Miami Beach. And it was very empowering because he would do a lot of work, a lot of legal work for people in the Haitian community who didn't really have anything to give him. No, he was very intelligent. He understood the law like the back of his hand, and he could have worked for any law firm and made $500,000 a year, but he started his own law firm and he did make good money, don't get me wrong, but he was passionate about community and helping others. He wanted to be someone that he wished he had when he first moved to the States. But he kept climbing the ladder of success in his law firm. And he eventually was able to bring on partners onto his law firm. And he was able to move into a bigger office to the point where he had the biggest office in the building in North Miami Beach. In 2021, he received the super lawyers distinction from the Florida Bar, or from the Lawyers Association from the state of Florida. And he was just an incredible success, an example of someone who can overcome external challenges while battling his own internal challenges. And Larry taught me a lot of great things that I am grateful for. And I'm grateful because Larry focused on the future and not the present. I'm grateful because Larry never forgot his family, never forgot where he came from. And I'm also grateful for Larry because he believed that it's important to live a life of dignity, a life worthy of a specific calling. And because of those things, because of his focus on the future, because he never forgot his family, because he lived a life of dignity and respect, it taught me that I should overcome my personal challenges. I should overcome my fear. I should overcome my doubt. I should overcome all of the internal challenges that could prevent me from being successful, that could prevent me from pursuing my purpose and my passion. On October 7th, Larry passed away. He passed away suddenly from a heart aneurysm while he was getting ready for work to go to his office. I'm deeply grateful for him. I'm deeply, deeply grateful for Larry, because without him, I wouldn't be anywhere. Everything you're reading on the left side of the screen, my bio, being a professor, Barbershop Speaks, published author, I wouldn't be able to do anything if not for Larry and his sacrifices. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. He was a great man. Thank you.
And may he rest in peace. Thank you so much, Jefferson, for being so candid about that today and for giving us a piece of you and a piece of Larry. That was super inspiring. I love the dialogue about your uncle, especially coming from a family of immigrants. I know how hard it is, but I know they do get the job done and they do work really hard, especially because you start from nothing, you start from the ground up, and you have to build yourself farther and farther instead of having a history beforehand. I love that story. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. And now, that being said, we're going to move on to Frankie Red Rosso. Frankie Red Rosso is also known as Red Words in her career as a radio host, poet, and entertainer. Frankie is a business owner of Bezos by Red, which sells liquid lipsticks, the co-host of Red Light TV, which invites South Floridians to discuss relevant topics impacting millennials, a travel blogger for A Frankie Tale, and the head choreographer for I Love Dance, which provides lessons in bachata, salsa, and fusion of styles. Welcome to our virtual stage, Frankie.
Hello, everyone. What's up, Seahawks? Oh my God. My name is Frankie Red. I myself am a former Seahawk myself. So it's truly, an honor to be with you guys and be here. I'm super, super excited. First off, I just want to say, to Jefferson, that was so beautiful. I always come with the energy. So I was almost like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? Because that was such a sad, beautiful story. It was a beautiful story, but it just ended, so sad. So I just want to say my condolences. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for your humility. And, I don't mean to be insensitive with any energy that I bring. But again, thank you to all the speakers and the students that are tuned in. It's just really awesome to be with you guys. So a little bit about, I got you, Jefferson, no worries. I'm bringing you all the spirits that you need, okay? All the good positive vibrations your way, okay? But no, I definitely want to, take a moment just to speak about, how important it is to talk about 3 key elements that always center us, right? When we look to our leaders, we always look to gravitate towards their success story, right? We always look at their resume, as some of our previous speakers spoke about, right? We look at their empathy, their understanding, their loyalty, their tenacity, their determination. But we never think about the 3 things that center us, the 3 things that keep us going, no matter where it is that we are. And those 3 things that I always tell people that it's so important to hang on to, because it's really how I've been able to be successful, whether it's Bezos by Red, which of course, your girl is wearing, okay? Whether it's radio, whether it's any of the endeavors, any of the creative routes that, I will take, I'm always going to keep 3 things at center. And that is humility, value, and purpose. If you have those 3 key elements, those 3 things will take you beyond your wildest imagination. And we're going to break those down a little bit. So humility, when we talk about humility, and the reason that I speak on humility is for the person that I'm going to speak on, of who I'm grateful for and how she impacted me today and how I was able to move forward and kind of drive and have this force within me because she empowered me to do so. Sometimes you need people to do that. You ever had a car that's just not starting, but then somebody come and kick it or something, and then all of a sudden it starts. And if you've never been through that, then you got a good paycheck, okay? But you understand? We all have that. We all have that situation. Maybe it's the dishwasher. Maybe it's the dishwasher you got to kick or elbow, right? Or knee to get to start. But you know that it's defective. But somehow you're still seeing the value in that. That is you just being humble. That is you just being lazy, trying to, not fix it. But that kick is what got it. And everyone somewhere, somehow needs that. So when we look to the everyday heroes that surround us, they're commonly the individuals that help shape us. They're the people who really give us that tough love, that shoulder to cry on. free business advice, the people that support your actual endeavors, people that hold us accountable for our actions, for correcting our mistakes. They're the ones that are doing that. There's somebody out there that really cares about you, that doesn't want to see you fail. And rather than us be upset, and rather than us have this animosity towards their approach, what we should be doing is being grateful and have the humility to say, I'm wrong. Let me take this critique. And I'm not saying it like I'm perfect, because now we all do it. But you have to be able to grow from that. And it's a true testament to who you are and your character as a person. Those people, those that believe in us when no one else would, those who ensure and guide us every step of the way, those leaders, those heroes, they can be anywhere, and they don't be wearing capes and spandex, okay? That could be your little neighborhood, neighbor. It could be your neighborhood Walmart store owner who has been through redevelopment and gentrification. He has seen the neighborhood change. He has a story. He has value, his purpose for being there. Those three things matter to this individual and can impact you if you were to be humble and open yourself to the opportunity of getting to know these individuals. I think it's funny that a lot of people sometimes think that it's a funk to be friendly or something, like there's something wrong with that, when really it's just about embracing life. So today, I want to talk about someone at Broward College who is the very reason I'm even speaking with you students today. She is a professor, someone who lights up a room with her blissful, just joyous spirit. Students that have taken her Spanish class understand her spice. If you've ever taken a Zumba class with her, you understand the level of intensity and love that she puts into her lessons. And if you've ever experienced her in any other form or fashion as a student, just regularly on campus or one of her clubs and activities, then you know that Professor Claudia Sagoon is someone who anywhere she goes glitters. She inspired this background today. She inspired me to be who I am. She is truly the reason why I have the gift of being able to speak my mind without offending. When I first started, I was a high-head, okay? And I know that ain't hard to believe since I'm a little loudmouth, but it was a problem. And she cared about me enough to say, you need to stop that. You need to change that. I wasn't just always this person that was able to allow others to speak for me. I thought it was important to speak about myself. I didn't understand the swag of having somebody else speak for you and how amazing that is and the feeling that it creates, because you're no longer focused on having to advocate for yourself when you have others advocating on your behalf. Those are those relationships. That is the value. That is that purpose. Those three key elements, Claudia created all of that. She is someone who impacted my life, because when I started at Broward College in 2012, she was really there for me through 2015. Even after I graduated, she was still somebody that I was able to call on the phone no matter what. My parents had just moved back to Jersey. I found myself with no real support system or someone to lean on. So I really decided to, take it upon myself to just do it the way that I thought was the best way. And she saw my areas of greatness, took those and groomed me, and saw those areas of weakness and cared enough to tell me, you have to take this and you have to do away with it so you can be better. And if it wasn't for Claudia, the humility within me wouldn't exist. And sometimes there's somebody out there right now that you're ignoring. Somebody that is telling you about yourself, but you're mad at them because you don't want to hear it, because you're so great and amazing. You think you're too good. Well, player, I'm here to tell you that that is definitely not the case. You can always embrace you, but you can always embrace you and still take it a notch down. You can still have confidence. You can still exude this, internal greatness without making others feel that you are better than them. And I'm just so grateful that Claudia Sagoon was that for me in so many facets. As my advisor, as my mentor, as my professor, as someone who I was able to teach Zumba with alongside, as someone who I traveled with, study abroad in Peru. There's just been so many memories that I was able to create with this professor. And she is still at Broward College today, creating a difference and advocating for students. And like I said, when I started this speech, child, I would not be here right now talking to you if it wasn't for her. Do the people hear me? Do the people hear me? Okay. Thank y'all so much again. My name is Frankie Red. You can find me on all socials at Frankie Red Word, spoken word, poet, artist, of course, entertainer, okay, extraordinaire. And you can also hear me on Two Cop Radio on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. That is at Two Cop Radio. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and whatever you like, okay? You can always find me on whatever it is that you need. But thank you so much. God bless all of you. And don't forget, be grateful, okay, with a big heart. Mwah. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate this. And this is so dope. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much, Frankie, for that. I love that. Those 3 words you provided for us, the humility, the value, the purpose. I love that. That was super inspiring. We oftentimes look over the mundane, looking over all like the heroes all around us. It's not just people who wear capes. It's not just a nurse. It's not just your mom. It's not just your dad. It's everybody around us. I love that so much. Thank you so much for sharing today. Now, as we move on from our tribute speeches, I'm very excited to know the guest speakers today. So let's move on to a quick Q&A session. Again, you guys in the audience are allowed to ask our guest speakers any questions about public speaking, their careers, or any other relevant topics. Now, as our audience will be posting their questions in the little chat section for the Q&A in the Zoom webinar, I would like to ask a question of myself. So my first question is, if you guys could go back in time to give your college-age self any advice, what is one piece of advice you would tell yourself? The floor is open to all the panelists. Whenever you're ready, just unmute your mic.
I'm sorry, can you ask that one more time?
Yeah, of course. So if you could go back in time to give your college-age self any advice whatsoever, what is one piece of advice you would tell yourself?
Well, I would just say calm down. I think we get caught up so much in what's going to happen, what's going to come. Am I going to have my house by 29? No, maybe not. Maybe you'll have it by 22, right? So slow down. You know, maybe you'll have it at 40, but that doesn't, it don't matter. You know, I think we be worried about the wrong thing. Why?
Exactly. We always spend so many times just looking back and forth, never really stopping for a second to care about ourselves. I love that, Frankie. And Jefferson, did you have something to say? If any of the other guest speakers do want to answer the question, feel free to unmute your mic.
Yeah, so the question is, what is something we would like our college selves to know?
Mhm.
Just verifying.
Yes, one piece of advice you would tell yourself.
Yeah, I mean, the advice I would give is to stay focused on what really matters, because in college there's so many distractions, and when we go from high school to college, you know, we're like, oh, we're grown, we can do whatever we want. And you have that level of freedom. If you're out of your parents' house, you know, you feel you could, you know, do whatever you want. But if you're still at your parents' house, but you're in college as an adult, you know, you feel like you're free. But I think recognizing that fences are put around houses for a reason. You know, it's not only to protect people from coming inside, but it's also to prevent you from going outside if you don't know the danger in the outside world. So I would say, you know, be very focused on what really matters. And, you know, that's your future. And if working on your future is boring, then there's a chance you might not be particularly passionate about that. And so you would want to focus on things that you love and that you are passionate about. So that's advice I would give to myself when I was in college, specifically my first year in college.
I really feel that too, especially with immigrant parents. You have heavy expectations to succeed and to just make them proud. But at the end of the day, you have to live for yourself and not for them. I love that. Thank you, Jefferson. And is there any other panelists who would like to answer the question?
Yes, it's me, Shawnee. I can share
Thank
something.
you, Shawnee.
Yes. So one of the things that I would say is I graduated from FAU and here it is. I graduated from FAU with a communications degree, and probably one of the things that probably maybe two things really quickly. One thing for sure, I would be in college. Because one of the things for me is that when I was in high school, my mind was in college. When I was in college, my mind was in the workplace. So I was never really, this is like the first time in my life that I'm actually where I am. So that's something that I really enjoy. So that will probably be one piece of advice that I would go back and like fully immerse myself in the college experience, because I was always somewhere else. So that would be one thing. The other thing is more from like a professional things. I would see a lot of my classmates. I was also a RA, which is like a resident assistant. So I was the person that was patrolling the halls, making sure people didn't overdrink, overstay, overparty, all that stuff. And one of the things for sure I would say is don't get more student loans than you actually need. Because in my professional life, I see so many people with enough student loan debt that it really has an impact on them being able to move forward. So position yourself not to overdo it when it comes to accepting money that you're not going to use for that semester. I graduated with $14,000 in student loan debt. It didn't compete with my ability to purchase a home. It didn't compete with, like where I was going to work, because when you graduate, I see even now some of my clients, when they graduate, they have like, 2 mortgages, so they can't get an actual mortgage. That's how much student loan debt that they accrued because they just weren't intentional about it. So you have to be in the present by taking advantage of all of the experiences that are coming at you, day to day, but you also have to have a little bit of insight to the future to make the best type of decision. So you want to be present to the moment, but also start thinking that you are in these moments, sitting in these classrooms, you are creating your future self. So be present, but also position yourself for the future.
I agree. Every college student should have some financial literacy because college students, we will have our money, but we'll just spend it like crazy because we don't have any clue of what money is. But that is an amazing point. We do need to look for the future. Mm-hmm. And our last panelist is Ellie Vasquez. Ellie, do you have anything to share in terms of any piece of advice you would give your old college self?
Yeah, no, 100%. And all the other speakers are crushing it with their responses. I felt that so deeply. These are all things I wish I heard. I would say 2 things. One is to know that you're bigger than any classroom, any school name, any space. I think we forget that, these are our teachers, and they what they say go, or this is what the administration is, it's what they say go. And to the point, yes, you need to listen to them and they know what they're talking about. But also, if you're not getting the proper education, if you're not feeling fulfilled in classes, you are spending money, like we were talking about student loans. So make sure you're making the right decisions for your future. Don't, waste your time in a class that isn't serving you. Or maybe administrative person says, no, you can't do X, Y, Z. I don't think you're able to do X, Y, Z, but you truly know that you can do it. The whole point of college and the whole point of this space in your life is to make mistakes. So this is that safety bubble where you don't really have to pay for a lot of things. So like, make the mistakes. Don't be afraid to be outspoken. Don't be afraid to be selfish in a certain regard. And don't be afraid to take chances. And the other thing too is, I had a lot of instructors that told me, oh, you can't make that film. I went to film school. No, you can't make that film. There's no way you're gonna be able to do that. I did it. I heard no after no after no, and I did it again and again and again. So don't get trapped in that box. And then 2, you could start your career right now. The thing is, when I was in college, I joined a professional organization. I was the first male on the board of Women in Film Chicago as a college student. So like you find industry, find networking, find all that. So by the time you graduate, you have all the connections in the world. So you're not stressing over it. You know, it's supposed to be a happy time. Because I promise you, y'all, your family will love you that day. And the minute you wake up the next day, you don't got a job, you got a whole other stress you got to deal with, your parents waking you up. So those are my two.
Awesome. So our next question coming in is for the panelists. How did you guys find motivation to continue pursuing your degree and not become lazy?
Oh, that's an easy one. I'll take that one first. I would for whoever posed that question, maybe spend a little bit of time of looking at what you do very, very well. Take some time to look at what you do well. What are you very, very passionate about? What excites you? Even if someone wasn't compensating you for it, even if they, even if you weren't being paid a specific amount to do it, what really fires you up? And if that answer doesn't come to you very easily, not that I needed to do this, but I would take some of the students that was on my floor and let them take like a career aptitude test. So sometimes if you lack motivation to complete your degree or to complete a course or a class, it may be that you may not, there's a possibility that you may not be in alignment with your purpose. Because typically when you're infused into something that really, really makes you happy, it's not really difficult to complete. Now, for me, that was my experience. Now, sometimes I had some very difficult classes that I didn't particularly care for. For me to be someone who assists people with creating budgets, building their credit scores, investing, I didn't particularly like math classes. Like, I didn't like it. And two things got me through some of the classes that I didn't like. I also had to take etymology, which I'm thankful for now. I didn't care for it so much when I was actually taking etymology. I just couldn't see the dotted line connection to, etymology in the larger world. Over time, etymology has totally served me. I love phonemes and phonics because words make more sense now. But at the time, it didn't really have a connection. So I wasn't necessarily motivated to show up to etymology. I wasn't motivated to show up to my math classes. For me to deal with money, I'm not like the strongest math person. I took math twice while I was in school. But the first thing would be connect to your passions, and something that is like an adage that's like used all the time is that you do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do. Do what you have to do so that you can do what you want to do, and be okay with difficulty. That's why I say normalize difficulty, because even passion isn't easy, motivation, sometimes we're looking for motivation and sometimes you don't get the motivation until after you get moving. So you may not, a lot of people feel motivation, you feel happy. I don't necessarily have to feel happy to execute something. Maybe my happiness comes after the execution. So that's what I would say to someone who is lacking motivation. What do you tell yourself when you feel discouraged? What do I tell myself when I feel discouraged? Let's see, the last time I felt discouraged. Okay, so I'm very, very prayerful. So I did this really stupid thing. For me to be a money person, I did like this really stupid thing. I allowed someone to borrow my car and they wrecked it. They wrecked it so bad that it ended up submerged in water, right? And it was a $45,000 car. And I was going back and forth with the insurance company to see who was going to take on this $45,000 debt. Was it going to be me, or was it going to be the person who took my car, or was the insurance company going to absorb it? I was crying because they denied my claim maybe for about 2 months. They kept saying no. And for someone that manages money for other people, I couldn't even imagine imagine a repossession going on my credit. I couldn't imagine what that would have done to my credit score. It was driving me crazy. I was crying. My kids walked in and saw me crying. It was horrible. And the way how I made it through that particular time is that I would pray. You know, I would pray. I'm very, very prayerful. I would pray. If I felt discouraged, I would immerse myself in prayer. I would pray, God, help me to get through this. So after 2 months of being denied, they ended up paying my claim. I didn't get stuck with a $45,000 in debt. It all worked out for me. So when I'm discouraged, I pray. And in me praying, I ask for solutions. So I had to show up. I couldn't get into discouragement. I couldn't drop down into depression. I couldn't drop down into, complete disappointment, because in order for me to, maneuver through that scenario where, the car claim ended up being paid, I didn't get stuck with $45,000 in debt, is that I had to show up. I had to be responsive. I had to keep, advocating for myself. So oftentimes the difficulties that we are afraid of, if we show up to them, we learn new skills. I got really strong at insurance law, okay? I got really, really strong at it. I got really, really strong at being responsive. I couldn't bear down. I couldn't fall into it. So discouragement is a temporary feeling. Prayer and responsiveness has gotten me through it.
That was amazing. Thank you, Shani. And we have one last question before we move on to our open mic. This question comes from Courtney, who wants to know some advice to overcome the fear of failure, or how to be more decisive and confident in your decisions. Jefferson, if you could you share some advice on how to overcome the fear of failure?
Oh, hello. Can you all see me?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's a really good question, and I should have a robust answer because I wrote about that in my second book. So the fear of failure is something that hinders a lot of people from actually starting. And I think the best way to overcome the fear of failure, at least in my opinion, is to, one, think about the joys and euphoria of success, but then also think about what would happen if you fell. Because I think it's important to run towards something while running away from something. I know when growing up, my neighbor had this vicious dog named Chi-Chi. And I was terrified of this dog, in part because she will bite you. And I don't know why we never called the police. We should have. That dog should. Anyways, that dog terrorized me my entire childhood. And when I went to high school, my parents didn't drop me off. I had to catch the bus to go to high school. And there was no yellow bus to pick me up either. And I would have to walk past my neighbor's house on my way to the bus stop. So I'm someone, although I wasn't a great student when I was in high school, believe it or not, I always attended school. I took pride in perfect attendance. That's just something that I wanted, even though my grades weren't the best. I was there though. And so, regardless of the fear I had of that dog, I would always find a way to get to school. I would always find a way. Even if I had to wait that dog out, wait until it got distracted, wait until one of his owners called it, I would walk across the street to the other side. I would hide behind the car. I would tiptoe, and then I would run to the next car in a sly manner. And then I would run off to get to the bus, because the bus would pass maybe every 20 minutes or every 25 minutes. The jitney, like every 8 minutes. And so I knew I would have to get to school. But on top of that, I want to get to school on time so I can have some breakfast. And so my goal of getting to school on time was just as important to me as not facing the fear of getting bitten by the dog. And so I would make it to school every day on time. And so to overcome the fear of failure, in my opinion, is to pursue and chase after success. Think about how great it'll feel. Think about the joys of achieving that goal that you have. But then also, as you're running towards something, you also have to recognize that there is something behind you that if you stop running, it will eventually catch up and that fear will be realized.
That was very interesting. I love that. I love the personification of fear too as a little dog. I have to ask.
No, it wasn't little. It wasn't little. That
How
dog.
big- what kind of dog was it?
I said, I don't know the name of the dog, but I'll look for a picture. But that dog was vicious. Oh my God.
A dog named Chi Chi. I cannot even express how interesting that is. But thank you, Jefferson, for that. I love that. And I would like to thank all of our guest speakers today for being so candid and answering our questions. And now it is time to move into our open mic. So the floor is open and our audience members are invited to give their own tribute speeches. Now, in the tribute speech, please recognize an individual that has helped you overcome an obstacle. Please share the story of your obstacle. If you are interested in speaking in the open mic, you can indicate your interest by typing in the chat, interested in open mic, with your full name, as well as hitting the raise hand button. There will be a designated BC Talks committee member recording and providing the names of speakers to meet by order of interest. First come, first serve. Please keep in mind, we do have a list already, so please do not be discouraged if you do not get a chance to speak today. Now, when it is your turn to speak, you'll be designated as a panelist, in which you'll be able to unmute mic and show video to give your tribute speech. Let's keep the tribute speeches to 1 to 3 minutes at most. Guest speakers, you are encouraged to give speakers some words of encouragement or feedback after their tribute speech via in the chat. Are you guys ready? I know I am. Let's start with our first open mic speaker. Our first open mic speaker is Melissa Hernandez. Melissa likes to dance. She is a certified medical assistant and the manager at Chick-fil-A. So whenever you're ready, Melissa, please unmute your mic and show your video.
Hi, how are you guys? Can you guys see me? Yes.
Yes. We can do it.
Hi, my name is Melissa Hernandez, and today I will be making a speech of a special person I am grateful for. Is a mom a best friend? Is it a person that just brought you into this world, or is it just a person that cooks and cleans for you? Well, to me, my mom is my best friend. My mom has always been there for me. She actually helped me go through, right now, college, high school, middle school, everything. My mom has always been a special person in my life because she's not just an ordinary mom. And I know it's so cliche to say your mom will always become your best friend, but to me, it's actually true. When I was 13 years old, I was in middle school. I got manipulated by a lot of friends and I didn't know what to do. They always said, oh, your mom will never be your best friend. Your friends will always be your friends. Don't worry about that. Oh, your mom, like, she's nothing, like, whatever. And to me, that I put that in mind and I was like, well, maybe it is true. That's what I have my best friends for. But I realized they were never really my friends because they manipulated me. They would lie to me. They would tell me things to do when I didn't even want to do. So I told my mom one day and she just listened to me, which was kind of strange to me because I was like, she just listened to me, no advice, anything. But that's what I needed. I needed someone to listen to me and just be there for me. And that's my mom. She she just listened. Maybe sometimes she would give me advice, but that's not actually what I needed. I just needed her to listen. And I know it's cliche that your mom will always be your best friend. I never believed that, but I believe that now. And to this day, I talk to my mom about everything. I only have one friend and she's like a sister to me. And that's pretty much it. And I'm grateful for her because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be in this stage right now. I am happy, I'm independent, and she prepared me for life. And I know you'll never be prepared for life, but she made that happen. And I am really grateful for her that she prepped me. She told me the reality. She never sugarcoat anything. And that's what made me the independent, strong woman I am today. And I wanted to share this because there's a lot of kids out there that don't believe that your mom is your best friend. And if you do have a hard relationship with your mom, I suggest you think about it, just lay back and actually think about who's really ever going to be there for you in life. Your mom will be your ride or die, and I promise you that. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Melissa. That was incredible. Now, our next performer is going to be Franklin. Franklin is a licensed scuba diver who has done theater since middle school and likes to design lights. Franklin, whenever you're ready, you can unmute your mic and show your video.
Hi, my name's Franklin Ferrer, and I'm going to talk to you guys about someone I'm really thankful for. So, when you think of a best friend or you think of someone that's close to you, you think usually people have a friend since they were young that they lived their whole life through. I never really had an opportunity like that, especially dealing with a lot of bullying in middle school and being compared to and being exiled. And it was a hard time. And I never really felt like I had a person to really go to. And I'm not the most close with my family. So it was hard to find someone to rely on, to look up to. And it became extremely difficult for me. My freshman year of high school, I met my best friend who would go and change probably a good portion of my entire life. I met him my freshman year of high school, and he took me under his wing like a little brother. And we're only 2 or 3 years apart in age, but I really did truly feel like he was a big older brother who I could really look up to. I had a hard time focusing in school, but his words were always, Frankie, go to school, don't skip class, do your homework. He pushed me hard because he said, there's going to be one day where we might have an opportunity to go to a same college, live a life, something fun. And it's something that I always thought I would never have, because in middle school, I didn't have the opportunity for that. And anytime I had an issue, he was there to help me out through it and help me get through some of the toughest part in high schools, including losing a lot of old friends who I thought were good friends of mine, my parents going through a separation, and lots of other things that were extremely hard for my mental health. And before, I would have had no one to turn to talk to, but my best friend, Marco, was always there. And I honestly can truthfully say that I've tried my hardest to become a better person and to be more like him every day. And because of that, that is what's pushing me forward to continue my education, of course, and just to be the best person I can be and always be there for other people, because I know how difficult it could have been to go through something alone. And for that, I'm really extremely thankful that I met him and that he has somehow shaped me into the person I am today. Thank you.
That was super inspiring. Thank you so much, Franklin, for that. The next person we have on the list is Bert.
Oh, that was a great intro. Let me stop. Can y'all hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Oh, you got me? That was a great intro. All right, so first of all, thank you for having me, and I'm just happy to be here. First of all,
We might be having some technical difficulties. Please bear with us for one moment, guys.
all right, what about now?
We can hear you now.
All right. So like I was saying, thank you for having me, and I'm grateful for this. I've never actually spoke to people like this, like in front of a lot of people like this before, but I'm happy to be here. So first of all, the person I am grateful for is, her name is Annie. Her name isn't Isabel, but she goes by the name Annie. Back in COVID time, during like early 2020s, I was struggling with my faith, with my spirit, with my spiritual life. I didn't really I didn't really understand, and I didn't really have I didn't feel like I had a purpose in life. Like, not a purpose in life, but like a purpose. Just say purpose in life. But no, I am grateful she came to my life. I knew her since high school. I did I did junior year and I did junior and senior year with her. Then we became strangers. Like we became strangers. After a while, she went to BC and I went to BC, and we actually grew a relationship together, and she helped me overcome a lot of stuff. Like I didn't like I for example, I I didn't want to. I dropped out of high. I dropped out of college my first semester because I was failing. But ever since she came to my life, I've been so motivated, just to be in school, just to learn every day, and not settle for the bare minimum stuff. But to conclude, I am really grateful for her, and I'm happy she's in my life. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Bert. I love that. Was really heartfelt. And the next person we have on the list is Caitlin Rodriguez. Caitlin is a twin who loves music and feels very relaxed when listening to music, and she wants to start her own business. So Caitlin, whenever you want, unmute your mic and start your video.
Hi, thank you guys for having me. So today I'd like to give thanks to my mom. Over a year ago, I was going through this tough time and she helped me overcome that. I went through depression. There was a lot going on and we were dealing with the effects of COVID. And it took a toll on me where I distanced myself and I didn't really want to be around everybody and doing things. So with that, moms are going to be moms and they're going to do what's in their best interest to try and help you. So in her eyes, she just wanted to help me get better in what I was. And she honestly was a big help with that as well. Your mom is always going to be there for you no matter what. Anybody who comes and goes, your mom is going to be the constant. And I can say that I'm very grateful for her in my life. And she's just a really big help to me with that. Like I really appreciate her with that. And I know that I can always talk to her if there's any problems in my life or I'm struggling with anything. I know that I can always go to her. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Caitlin. That was really cute, your story. And next on the list we have is Eduardo. Eduardo does soccer, karate, and self-defense. So Eduardo, whenever you're ready, you can unmute your mic and start your video.
Hello, my name is Eduardo Molina, and a person that has inspired me is Steve Jobs, and I would do a tribute speech about Steve Jobs. I am a computer science major, and I admire the software of Apple. Steve Jobs created modern computers as an example to today's society. Today, I'm going to talk about Steve Jobs and the man and why he is so inspiring to people. Steve Jobs' story. Steve Jobs' story, he went to Reed University, as you know, and he dropped out of that, and then he went to work to Atari. After that, he created his own business of Apple, and yeah. So now I'm going to talk about why he's so inspirational. He set the foundations to computer, and today people use computers for and people use them a lot. He showed dedication to everything, and so we think it's possible. We everything is possible if we use dedication. So to conclude, Steve Jobs is surely an inspirational person in my life for what he has done. Steve Jobs has not only changed my life with his great work, but has technically changed the whole world with the computers and phones that he has created.
Thank you so much for sharing, Eduardo. I love that. So the next on the list we have is Professor Walton Burton. Professor Walton Burton is a speech professor here at Broward College, and he'll be sharing somebody who has helped him in an obstacle today. So Professor, whenever you want, you can unmute your mic.
All right, how we doing? I wanted to talk about somebody today. I don't know if you can see the picture. That is my grandfather. And that is the day I actually beat him in checkers. You can see the checkerboard there. And, you know, my sister and I and my mother were living with my grandparents for a while. And the man would never let me win at checkers, not once. My grandmother would yell at him and he wouldn't let me win. He would finally say, that boy will never learn how to play checkers if I let him win. So that's one lesson I learned from him. But if you really look at his picture there, I don't know if you can really tell, but he was about 90 pounds at that time. He was a very sick man. And I didn't really realize that I was just a kid. And he didn't live much longer after that. His entire adult life, his kidneys were failing. And he was very, very sick. And he had a whole bunch of surgeries. But all throughout his adult life, he never complained. He always talked about how blessed he was. And that's one thing I always remember about him. And even to tell you a little bit more about him, when he was 2 or 3 years old, his father died. And his mother couldn't really raise him and all of his brothers and sisters. His father was Black. His mother was Cherokee Indian in the mountains of North Carolina. All of his brothers and sisters were taken to an orphanage. And this was a horrible place to grow up. There was no love. The kids had to work. There was no education, and they were beaten. It was like a horror movie. And the day all these kids turned 16, they were allowed to leave. And that is the day that they left. So at 16, he left an orphanage, didn't have any skills, didn't have an education. He started working on cars. And that's really how I remember him as well. When during the day, he'd be up under the hood of a car in his overalls. And at dinner time, he would always have grease under his nails. You can't clean your hands when you're a mechanic back then. Always had grease under his nails. I still think about that whenever I take my car to the shop. You know, I get that smell. It reminds me of him. So even though this guy had such a rough childhood, had such a rough adulthood, you know, he always explained his life as blessed. He always talked about how blessed he was. So for me, whenever I feel like I've been treated unfairly, or, you know, if I'm not feeling well and I got something to do, I'm just like, yo, get over yourself, because I have not experienced 2% of the struggles that man went through. And looking at this picture and seeing how sick he was, I look at it a lot differently now as an adult than I did back then, just beating him at checkers. So that's my grandfather, and he's been a very positive influence on my life. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Professor Burton, for sharing. And the next person we have on the list is Tavon. Tavon is going to be, let me read. Tavon is good under pressure, a good speaker, and overall a fun person. So whenever you're ready, Tavon, you can unmute your mic and start your video.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I am grateful today for my mother. I am grateful because of the don't give up attitude that my mom has. If there's no way, she will make a way just to make sure her kids are good. Growing up around my mother, I too developed this don't give up attitude, because they say kids learn what they live what they learn. So, and that's exactly what I learned from my mother. My mom has been there through my low self-esteem and my severe asthma attacks and all the sleepless nights I faced. Without my mom, I don't think I would be where I am today. I am forever grateful for her. I would like to thank her today because she has been doing so much for me, and she is still doing it today. They say it takes a village to raise a child. And my mother has been a strong one-woman village in my life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tavon, for that. That was amazing, guys, all the speakers who went so far. Now we're going to take a quick musical break with our performer, Shania. Shania is a freshman at Broward College who paints in her free time, and she was also part of the marching band. Let's give it up for Shania on the violin. Whenever you're ready, you can unmute your mic and share your video.
Oh, hello. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. The piece that I'm going to be playing today is Over the Rainbow. I picked it because it talks a lot about, bluebirds flying, and sometimes in my free time, before I do my work, I would sit outside, bathe in the sun, and, free my mind before I go and think about what I'm supposed to do next. So I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you and have a great day.
That was amazing. Thank you so much for that. You were so talented. And the next on our list we have is Kai. Kai is a twin who wants to become an architect. So Kai, whenever you are ready, you can unmute your mic and show your video.
Okay, yeah, y'all can hear me, right? Okay, my name is Kai, and I would like to thank my mother today. Not just because she birthed me or because she birthed my twin too, but simply for the fact that she helped me while I was dealing with rheumatoid arthritis, junior rheumatoid arthritis, and I gave a speech about this today too. But she was actually the one who actually found out what was wrong with me and diagnosed me with rheumatoid arthritis. She was there. She helped me out every time that I was sick, every time my legs started swelling up, every time I was depressed, every time I was lonely. She was there to help me along the way. And I was able to be cured by 8th grade, which made me have a good high school experience. And I am also enjoying college right now as you speak. But not just because of that, but she worked very, very, very hard. 2 jobs, late night. And you always got to appreciate the little things that people do for you. Even if you don't think about it, there's a lot of people that like to help each other. And some people just need to appreciate that. And I appreciate my mother with all my love, all my heart. Very good, very nice. And even one day I'm planning on surprising her for all her gratitude. It's something meaningful to me. And she have really been there beside me, beside my twin. She really stand out, helped us along the way. Everything. She's very amazing. I wish y'all could meet her. Y'all would definitely say we look just like her. Like she's our triplet or our sister, which is very much good. I like that compliment to her. I just really want to thank her for everything that she's done. And thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Kai. That was super inspiring. And next on the list that we have is, let me see here, Nick Stein. Nick is an audio engineering major who has a heart for the community and shares ancestry with Abraham Lincoln. So Nick, whenever you are ready, go ahead and unmute your mic and start your video.
Good afternoon, everybody. So today I'm going to be giving thanks to my aunt. Growing up, you always have that one person you go to cry to laugh with, to spill all your tea with. And for most people, that's a mom or a dad or a sister or brother. But for me, that is my aunt. We all fall into seasons of love or seasons of depression or seasons of just, joy and happiness. And throughout all of my seasons, she's been the one who's been there for me. Growing up in my household, it was kind of, no one really would talk to one another. We'd come home from school, we'd go into our rooms, we'd come out for dinner, we'd take the dinner back to our rooms, and we'd go to sleep, and the days would repeat. There were no questions of, how was your day? How was school? My aunt was the one outlier. She would always give me a phone call. Nick, how was school? Nick, how was this? How was your show? How was this? How was work? And so for that, I'm forever grateful for her. She's been there for me for the first 19 years of my life, and she will be there for me for the remaining of my life and her life. So for that, I'm forever grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Nick. That was entirely inspiring. And the next person we have on the list is, give me one moment. The next person is Katharetta Thompson, who is a spiritual, appreciative, and humble person. Give us a few moments where you're having some technical difficulties, but Katharetta, whenever you are ready, please unmute your mic and start your video. Whenever you can, Katharetta, you should be able to unmute your mic now. So take your time, but whenever you're ready.
Catherine, I think we need to move on to maybe Catherine.
We can move on to the next person. So in the meantime, we're going to move on to Catherine. Catherine's favorite color is red, and she loves animals, and she loves fashion and dressing up. So Catherine, whenever you are ready, you can unmute your mic and show your video. Please bear with us, folks, for one moment. We're having some technical difficulties with the panelist, so please bear with us in the meantime.
Bear with us a moment. We're having some technical difficulties where we cannot promote the attendees to panelists. Give us a second. Hold on a second. While we figure out these issues, we would invite the panelists to give us at least 3 strategies in public speaking. Ellie, Frankie, Jeff, Shani, if you can unmute your mic and share strategies for effective public speaking.
Okay, so I'll give a shot at it first. So I would definitely say the first thing you want to make sure that you always do when public speaking is to have confidence, right? If you don't have confidence within yourself, it won't exude, the message won't stick, people won't listen, and individuals won't understand your messaging, right? Because you don't have it from within, right? You don't have the confidence. So the first thing is to have the confidence. Even if you're not a confident person, you have to dig deep in those pockets, right? And you have to figure out how to bring out that confidence so you can excel. The second thing I would say is passion. When you have passion in anything that you do, and pardon me for not remembering exactly which one of our panelists spoke on passion, but one of our panelists touched on passion. And when you have a passion for something and you allow that to drive you, I believe it was Shani, when you have that passion and that drive, it's something that allows you to skyrocket, right? The sky is the limit. So when you have passion, it allows public speaking to become easier because you do it with love, right? Right now, I don't know exactly the cookie cutter answer of what I'm going to say, but I have the confidence to know what I'm talking about to be able to deliver the message. I have the passion in the things that I'm talking about to be able to deliver the message. And the third thing I would say is to be clear and concise, right? If you speak all over the place, sometimes people get tone deaf, and speakers do it too, like talk too much and then they don't hear how they sound. So that is a real problem too. So really, truly practice, right? Truly practice the craft so you can hear how you sound. Because if you don't take that moment to kind of reflect on what you're outputting, then how are you going to measure whether or not it's positive, negative, good, or bad, right? So I would say those would be 3 key strategies. And I mean, even though it's just 3, like just, you know, that confidence, I can't stress that confidence enough. You know what I'm saying? Just finding it from within and letting that passion pull you forward so you can, you know, have a clear and concise message. Those are my 3 chills.
Thank you so much for that, Frankie. And we have Professor Noel next speaking. So Professor, whenever you want, you can unmute your mic. You may still be muted. Sorry about that.
Hello, mic check. Okay. Can you hear me now?
We got you.
All right. Yeah, that was really good. Confidence is extremely important. The advice I would give is quite simple. And it's the umbrella advice is letting you know that communication is a two-way street. Although you are a speaker, while you are speaking to your audience, you have to simultaneously listen to your audience. So what do I mean by that? If you're having a conversation with someone, you ask them a question and they go like this, you know the answer is yes. They go like this, the answer is no. So you could tell based off of their gesture or their body language what they feel and what they are thinking. And it's the same exact way when you are giving a speech in public, and this advice is usually for public, typically for public speaking, is you have to watch your audience. So one would be listen with your eyes. Look at, are they paying attention? Are they on their phones? Are they looking around? Are they looking at the door to see if someone is walking in? Listen with your eyes, and you can make a determination as to onto what to say next in your presentation. So I remember one time I was giving a talk inside a room, and it was the same exact room. It was during a conference that they were going to serve the food. And while I was talking, they brought all the food into the room. And so the entire room smelled like chicken, potatoes, fries, collard greens, smelled like all of that. And I'm like, man, I'm only 5 minutes into a 45-minute presentation. And I noticed the audience started looking at their watch, and I'm like, oh my God. So what I did was I started speaking faster so the audience could think that, you know, I was wrapping up my presentation, or at least moving on quickly, so the presentation could end faster. But then I slowed down about 5 to 10 minutes later, and the audience never picked up the fact that I slowed down, and I was able to finish my presentation in an effective way. But the only way I was able to do that was because I was listening with my eyes. And last two, because I'm sure we're on a short time frame, is ask your audience questions throughout your presentation so you could get live feedback. And the third one is to speak within the time frame. If you have 3 to 5 minutes, if you only speak for 2 minutes, then you don't look like you're prepared enough. If you speak for over 5 minutes, then it appears as though you're just on stage pontificating, and they only gave you 3 to 5 minutes. So speak within the time frame that was provided for you when you are giving a presentation.
Thank you so much for speaking about that, Jefferson. And Eli, do you have something to say?
Yes. I don't know if we figured it out yet, but I'll be quick with mine. Such great, valuable things. I mean, I would say off the dome, what really speaks to me is, and what was really impactful for me when I heard it, because I used to be a terrible speaker. I used to be so shy and scared. I would be mumbling. And I think the big thing is it comes to ego. It comes to like ego. We're so afraid of how we're going to look. We're so afraid if we're going to mess up. We're so afraid that we're going to look dumb. You know, it's like we, me. And it's not about you. It's about them. So like, take the pressure off of yourself. That's your ego talking, afraid that you're going to look dumb, afraid you're going to do this. You have a service to provide what you already know in the best way that you can. And really make that a priority. Focus on the fact that you just need to get as much info of what you already know. So as long as you're able to get that out, as long as you're able to give to them, you take the pressure off yourself, knowing that it's really about giving to them. So yeah, don't take the pressure off yourself. Don't worry so much about yourself. Just know that you just have to give what you already know. Also, two, I would say is find the person that is the most engaged in the group. This is a little difficult because I can't see anyone's faces. Catherine, you're very good at smiling and shaking your head to me and everything else. So I'm going to look towards you. And I'm not looking at anybody else. So you're my home base. So if I'm looking at a group of people and I'm like kind of nervous, I want to know if I'm doing good, I'm going to look at the person's like, because that's going to make me feel more assured. That's how I know the certain points are hitting. And that's my home base. I can look around in a group and everything else, but I know Catherine's really engaged in my talk. So if I need a little more center of gravity, you need to feel like I'm doing a good job, just look over to Catherine and know I'm doing fantastic to help me through it. And then third, don't be afraid to break the ice of being a normal person. I think a lot of it, they feel like we have to be very, I'm a speaker and I'm a normal person, dude, and so I love certain speakers through the student speakers are saying rise and grind, terminology that you use every day. It alleviates the kind of stress, the kind of space between the audience and the speaker. Make it seem like you're talking to your best friend. And that makes you seem more human. That makes you feel more comfortable. And it helps you lean to just be yourself. Because you understand, we're all speakers, but we're all our own personalities too. So if you hire me for an event, or hire Shani, or hire Professor Noel, these are different stories, different engagements, but different speaking styles too, different ways to engage, different ways to do those things. So don't be afraid to be yourself, because that's what's going to make you stand out. So those are my three.
Thank you so much for that, Eli. I will always be here for you for that visual confirmation. Next, we're going to move on to our next performer, who is Niani. Niani is a freshman here at Broward College who loves to sing, cook, and dabble in poetry. Today, we have the pleasure of watching Niani perform an original poem called Thank You. So Niani, whenever you are ready, please unmute your mic and show your video.
Yay, a poet! I'm just excited.
Can you guys hear me good?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank You is the title of my poem. As I inhale, I reflect on the small things. The smell of a freshly baked treat, the feel of a hug from a loved one that feels ever so sweet. As I look on the artwork in the sky, amazed at the world's natural beauty as the day and night collides. I hear the loud bicker and screams of siblings having a fight, the melodic sound of a family gathering, easily mistaken for noise, the sound of laughter like music to my ears, the imperfect perfection of that togetherness hides all my fears. It reveals life's bliss. Watching people grow into their better selves and shapeshift before my eyes, I smile, so wonderfully content with life's many moments and big strides. I am able to feel one leg moving in front of the other, to have an abundance of love and from friends, sisters, brothers, or mothers. How amazing it is to have that power. The power of family created or born into. The shared laughter that you will remember, memories that hold you all together like glue. I reflect on a kind stranger holding the door for me, and fields of flowers being pollinated by a bee. Small fragments of life that people often overlook. I smile because the bus driver let me get on the bus without that dollar bill. Heartwarmed by someone giving up their seat to an old lady at their own free will. Happy to look up and see the stars and find the brightest one, feeling the warm rays coming down from the sun. At first glance, this is a collection of unimportant facts, but if you look a little closer, you can see all the impacts of the things that I find astounding. As I exhale, I say thank you to all the small things in life. Thank you.
That was incredible, Niani. I love the tone and delivery you gave. And next, we're going to try to move on to our next speaker, which is Catherine. Catherine's favorite color is red, and she loves animals. And she also loves fashion and dressing up. So Catherine, if you could you please unmute your mic and show your video?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm trying to see how do I turn my camera on, but
If you can't turn on your video, that's perfectly all right. You can just continue with your speech.
Okay. I just want to, I know everybody's been talking about how they're so grateful for their mother. I really, I am grateful for my mother. That's the person who I chose for this speech. But I guess I could just switch it up a bit and I could just say for my parents. My parents, they were immigrants. So when they came to this country, all they knew was Spanish. They didn't know that much English. So when I was little, the only language I knew was Spanish. So as I was, when I went into kindergarten and stuff, I would get bullied by kids because as I was in school and learning what everybody else was learning, I was also learning English. So I could just say that's like one of my obstacles still to this day. I do speak fluent both English and Spanish, which is not even an obstacle anymore, I guess as you could say. It's been like an accomplishment. And it has been a good accomplishment towards as my jobs. I've been bilingual, so I help other people, especially because we live in South Florida. A lot of immigrants and a lot of Hispanics live down here. So usually I'm that one person that will help translate in either in class or in public places, helping, other people out. But both of my parents, they love me for, just helping them out as to them also still learning English. Even when it comes to just, things, regular conversations with people, it could be hard, mispronouncing it or people not understanding you. But I feel like just like by learning with practice and time, you can, accomplish both learning English and Spanish. But yeah, I am thankful for my parents. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Catherine. I love that. And so next on the list we have is Lens. Give me one moment. Lens can play the drums and guitar and is an aspiring content creator who loves to cook. So Lens, whenever you can, please unmute your mic and show your video.
Hello. Oh, all right. Thank you for having me, first of all. And everybody's been talking about their mom or their parents, which is not a bad thing. My mom is arguably one of the most influential people I have in my life. I've lived with her the longest, but I also do want to switch it up. Kind of like Nick, how he did his aunt, I'm gonna do my uncle. Now, without my uncle, I know truly I wouldn't be where I am today. He taught me how to be a man when I didn't have nobody else around to do so. I lost my father when I was 10 years old, so I've almost lived half my life without a dad. And the only connection me and my father had that I still remember is through sports. So I was always looking for a father figure through LeBron James, Mike Vick, or Kobe Bryant, which is his favorite player. But none of them could really show me how to step up like my uncle did. My uncle has helped me when I was down. He helped me learn how to be a man. He is even employing me right now. Right now, I'm helping him grow his business, but soon I want to take it to the next level. He wants to take his business out to the islands. And when I get successful, I want to help reimburse him because I cannot thank him enough for everything that he's done for me. I wouldn't even know how to drive if it wasn't without him. So I truly am grateful for my uncle. And no matter what happens, I'll always be with him. And as he said, calls me, I'll always be his favorite nephew, and he'll always be my favorite uncle. Thank you.
Sorry about that technical difficulty, guys. We're going to move on to Courtney Rayner next. And I just wanted to mention to Lens, that was amazing. That was super inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing. Next is Courtney Rayner. So Courtney is this is the second time she is going back to school at both BC. And first was for massage therapy, now for nursing. And she is an equestrian and singer. So Courtney, whenever you are ready, please unmute your mic and show your video.
Hello, how are you guys? Okay, thanks for having me. So I wanted to talk about my aunt today. So she is also a nurse. She went back to school in her 40s. So she has definitely been a motivator for me and a mentor. She also has such a positive attitude, and she has really kept me going during the struggling times where I was deciding what I wanted to do after massage therapy. So we both have a passion for healthcare, and I had the pleasure of watching her kind of take care of my grandparents before they passed away as well, and that was very inspiring too. So before I decided to go back to school for nursing, I was kind of in a standstill at my job doing massage. I knew it was a stepping stone, but I didn't know what else to do. And I finally decided to stick with the healthcare field. And my long-term goal is to, I think, be a physician assistant, but I'm still open-minded to other options. But I figured nursing was the best way to get my foot in the door. And she has just really kept me going. She will keep me going throughout the program, I'm sure. And she has shared some quotes that I'd like to share with you as well. So first one, failure is not an option. That is just something I have repeated to myself through every difficult class. Failure is not an option. Another one is time will pass regardless. It's better to be older with an education than to be older without an education. So you might as well make the most of your time. And that's something that I also try to remind myself of. And the last one is never leave the scene of a decision without taking the first step to carrying it out, no matter how small. And she exemplified this by deciding to go back to nursing school at 40, and the day she decided, she applied to school. So she, again, is something that I can always look up to. If I want to get something done, just do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that, Courtney. I am a firm believer that time will help heal things. That was amazing. And next on the list we have is Rebecca. So Rebecca is a camp counselor and a horseback rider and a teacher. And she has a passion for editing and motion design, and she used to be a stagehand at her high school theater. So Rebecca, whenever you are ready, please unmute your mic and start your video.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we got you.
It's good. Okay. I wanted to talk today about somebody who has been like a pseudo parent in my life. As you mentioned, I was a camp counselor. I'm a camp counselor and a horseback riding teacher, and because I got really into animals when I was a kid, and that just kind of never left. So I ended up learning how to ride horses. And my teacher was named Luisa Escobardo, and she has been one of the most influential people in my life. She's been a mentor in almost every aspect of everything that's happened, whether it be school, whether it be my emotional state, whether it be just actually the horses or other animals, or working with the kids and teaching them just all levels of things or whatever lesson we decide to do that day. She has been there for me for years upon years, since I was 7 and since I moved to Florida. And she's just kind of stuck with me through everything. She is the type of person who doesn't take any crap. If you're being a little bit silly, if you decide to wallow in your own in yourself, I guess, she's going to call you out on that. And I really appreciated that, because I don't think I would have been able to get through high school without her, or middle school without her, because around that time I wasn't in a good place and I kind of let myself go a lot. She was the person out of everyone that kind of kicked me back into place, helped me back to being somebody who wanted to have a future, wanted to work on my life, wanted to work with kids, work with people. and I will always be grateful to her for that. She's been a mentor to me my whole life, and I'm excited to go into the future as partners in her business. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Rebecca. That was amazing. And last but certainly not least, we have Renee as our last speaker. So Renee, whenever you are ready, you can unmute your mic and start your video.
Hello, I'm Renee. I'm thankful for my dad. Here's probably you can't see it because of the blur, but it's a photo of me and my dad. He was born in Lima, Peru, February 21st of 1975. He graduated high school in Peru and later graduated from the State University of Guayaquil in Ecuador. He became a doctor. He's married to my mom, an Ecuadorian, and he has 4 kids, including me. I'm his eldest and only daughter. He currently lives off a business he made providing healthcare services in Argentina. He has ambulances, drivers, and doctors who help them in emergencies and practically provides healthcare to everyone. In Argentina, healthcare is free, for those who didn't know. While talking to him, he said he faced a lot of challenges and obstacles, but the ones that he considered challenges were only 5. The first challenge, he said, was growing without a father himself. His dad died 1 day before he was born, and he was living in poverty with his mom. His mom worked every day, all day, while he was stayed with my great-grandparents. And even though he had a great-grandpa, like my great-grandpa, he didn't really consider him a father figure or a very good role model. So he struggled a lot with the absence as a father. And then he feels like he's trying to do everything he didn't have for me and my brothers. His second challenge was migrating to Ecuador. In Peru, you graduate high school at the age of 16. So to be able to get out of the current situation, Peru had a lot of terrorism at that time. People were attacking police and military people. And my great-grandfather was a policeman. There were a lot of bombs being planned. So a way of my grandma of getting my dad out of the country in a safe way was to make him go to Ecuador, which is a neighbor country, and make him study medicine. So he moved there at 16 and shortly after turned 17. And he was a teenager, completely alone in a new world, studying medicine. Everyone stayed in Peru, and he was the only one there facing everything. His third challenge was being detained. While starting his 3rd year of medicine, Peru and Ecuador had a war, and they detained him thinking he was a spy. They arrested him and accused him of everything because of the war, and he had to go back to Peru. He lost a year of his studies, and when he came back once the war was done, when he came back, the atmosphere was bad. Everyone was so hostile and basically treated him badly just because of where he was from. After that, his 4th challenge said he was very stressed for finding a good job to maintain his family, to make his mother stop providing for him. And also, while doing that, he had to migrate multiple times, making him lose memorable moments, especially my birth. I was born in the US, but I was raised in Ecuador, Peru, and Argentina. As soon as he graduated the university, he started working in Peru, in a jungle, vaccinating little kids. He would go by bike everywhere. He would tell me he would have to go by night with a lantern and stop because he would see a snake pass in front of him. Then later, he started working in a clinic in Peru, and I was born in the United States with my mom, and he couldn't go there because his work didn't let him get a visa even. So he missed that. Then when I was finally born, we moved to Galapagos with my mom. It was an island in Ecuador, and we lived there 3 years. And then later, with the biggest migration of all, we moved to Argentina, a whole new country. and he started studying to get more experience, and then he started his business with only one ambulance and him and my mom working. His fifth and final challenge would be losing me. Argentina is not in a good economic status. It's currently facing an economic crisis, and I know the education is not that good, especially for public schools with all the protests and teachers being underpaid. So at the age of 16, I decided to move to the US to get a better education, get a good career, and make good money to be able to bring them here and get their citizenship as me, as the only American in the family. But he didn't want that, and he regrets to let me go because it means I'm facing, and I am currently facing everything he has been facing when he was alone in Peru. This like brings me to our family project, which is me. I moved here when I was 16, in my junior year. I graduated in high school with honors, and I'm currently an honors student in Broward College. I'm trying to get a job as soon as possible, start saving up money, make the process of the citizenship. And honestly, him being my dad is an influence already, but I guess he's a good influence because he's always supported me. He's been what I've been through, and he taught me that it wasn't bad to start from zero time to time, and it was gonna be good after all. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Renee. You are making them proud. I'm so proud of you. But unfortunately, it looks like it's about that time. We apologize if you weren't able to share your story today, especially given the technical difficulties. Once again, we would like to extend a special thanks to the guest speakers as well as the open mic speakers and performers. I would like to take this time to thank everyone for attending the event today, and the deans and BC Talks committee members for bringing this lovely event into existence. Now, before you folks exit the event, we ask that you please complete the post-webinar poll posted on the screen. It was a pleasure to serve as your MC for tonight. Good night, and thank you guys so much for your company this evening.